Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak. I'm in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by my two very close friends, Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio, and Ralph Sharega, who's in Belmont, Mass. One day removed from Marty's birthday, which they celebrated in Times Square. So
They
hold
also
on.
celebrated at South Bend and Lansing, Michigan, because
Yeah, I just had to get the hat on. But anyway, how you guys doing? Ray, how you doing out there?
Good. Still some nice weather coming through, so enjoying
Okay.
some nice late fall weather.
Right. Ralph, how you doing?
great. Is it PC to stay Indian summer? But I guess that's what it is.
That is like that. It's just terrific as I keep trying to take care of this cut. But you know what? We always say it's the biggest game of the year, but if this they play Arizona in Arizona, it's a late game. Let's face it, if they lose this game, they're done. And
Absolutely.
what's pretty interesting, you know, just by not losing to Houston, I think they were neither buyers or sellers.
Yeah,
I
put
just
them
want
at
to ask
all.
you
Yeah.
something, Ralph, and then Ray, you could chime in. If they had beaten New England, do you think they would have been buyers this past Tuesday?
Uh, well, what would they have gotten though? I mean, what was out there?
I don't know. We spoke about the defensive line, so I don't know.
I mean, if you're the Jets and you had like a wish list, what would be like the first priority?
Mine would be
Maybe maybe an
defensive
offense.
line.
Yeah, the offensive line's getting beaten up again. So
They are Morgan Moses, and we'll talk about that. Ray, what would you think if they had beaten the Patriots? Would they have been buyers?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if someone was available that they wanted, I don't know. I don't think they would have just gone out and grabbed somebody to grab someone. But if someone they like now, the Browns cut Jefferson. Did he go anywhere?
I haven't heard
I
anything.
don't think so.
Well,
He hasn't played much this year. He's injured a lot.
they
Yeah,
didn't like him in training camp. There was talk. I read a couple things right during training camp that he might be one of their cuts. So I was
Yeah.
hoping I was hoping for it, but
right.
you know.
Yeah. I don't know. Ray, here's a quick question for you. You're pretty good with the known Jets from the last few years. Who's the Cardinals starting left tackle?
Isn't that is it Beecham?
Yeah,
No.
very
Yes.
good. Kevin Beecham,
Who's their slot guy?
their slot guy. You know what, Ralph? I have a screen that it has the depth chart. I'm not going to look at it. I saw it too. Is it Dortch?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I remember him.
I
Yeah,
liked him. I knew he'd become a decent player.
yeah,
You
yeah,
could tell.
yeah. He
Uh,
did. Anyway, we're going up against one of the best young wide receivers. It seems like we're going against them every week. Marvin Harrison Jr. that has a combination of speed and I guess height. What is he, Ray? 6'3" and a half, 6'4"?
something like that. He is not a little guy. Yeah.
Yeah, big guy. And here's my question.
Yes. To me, he's Justin Jefferson size, but even a little thicker than
Right.
Justin.
yeah, yeah.
I want to start with you, Ray. Considering what's been happening, who do you think should cover him Sunday? Sauce Gardner or Reed?
It's got to be Sauce. I mean, but we're gonna have to double him. I mean, we can't just leave Sauce alone with him because Sauce is getting, Sauce still handsy. He always was, but now he's actually getting called for it. I don't think Reed. I think he'd just absolutely destroy Reed. I like Reed, but I don't think he can handle a Marvin Harrison.
Reed's been having a really good year. Ralph, what's
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
I also go with the height. The interesting thing about Harrison is he's got 5 touchdowns, which is good, but he's averaging like 45 yards a game. He's not tearing it up. He had one huge game earlier in the year, but other than that, he hasn't been killing people. So I think, yeah, like Ray said, the height factor.
Yeah, you go with him.
And I might try them both. Maybe, matchups are funny. You never know who matches up better.
Well, we
Ralph,
do
you
that
had
anyway, don't
go
we?
ahead,
If
Ray.
he switches sides, we don't. We still are in the mode of we don't, let Sauce rotate, do we? He
Yeah.
stays on one side, so we probably will be seeing both at some point.
Maybe
You
Jalen
guys,
Mills. I like Jalen Mills. He's a nice
yeah.
player.
Ralph, do you still have faith in Sauce Gardner?
Not as a star, but maybe as a decent player. Yeah, I think he's still a decent cover guy, but he's got so many holes in his game now. Um, speaking of defense, Marty, I just want to ask you a quick question to you two fellows. Well, obviously, Will McDonald leads the Jets in sacks. Who is second and third with how many?
On the Jets?
Yeah, who's second and third in sacks on the Jets right now? Jets have a lot of sacks this year.
Yeah, no, they do. I think they're like third or fourth in the league. Is Damian Sherwood one of them?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead, Ray. You go, Ray. So
I'm
I'd have to watch Ralph laugh at me.
50 years of that.
Yeah.
660.
60.
My God, I can't think of who else might be there. What about Eccles?
No.
No, Ray, I know you're an Eccles
I love
lover,
Eccles.
but
I like my Eccles.
Go ahead, Ralph.
okay,
He's not a
so
couple, though, I think.
Will McDonald has 8. He's been sitting on 8 for a few weeks. Quentin Williams has 5 sacks. He's second.
That's phenomenal.
And are you guys both sitting? 4.5 sacks. Michael Clemens. Can you believe that? I don't believe that's that. I refuse to believe it.
Did you see his second sack of that
No,
game?
I did not.
I didn't either. So that's why I question that too.
He's a mythical sack artist. Yeah.
It's so funny because Quinnen had a drought there where he was hardly even visible, and I thought I normally would have said Quinnen, but I thought he had such a span there where you didn't hear much from him. I didn't think he had that many.
Right. Ray, no, let me start with Ralph. Ulbrich was anointed interim head coach.
What's his name, Marty?
Jeff Ulbrich.
Yes.
Ralph is on me.
There you go.
Okay. And he kept the title of defensive coordinator. So he's calling the defensive plays. Ralph, do you think if he has any potential to be a head coach, he's being stagnated by having both titles right now?
Well, when I saw that question, I started comparing the defense before and after Saleh. And when Saleh was there, the San Francisco game was horrible. The Tennessee game was not that great. Patriots game was great in every respect. But and like last week, the Jets defense was pretty decent actually. They held Houston to 13 points. So I think the defense has probably been pretty close to the same. Ulbricht's had to deal with more injuries as the season's gone on. So I would say my answer is probably not. I mean, I don't think he's going to get another job. If he wins out, he'll be the Jets head coach. If he bombs out, nobody's going to want him anyway.
Ralph, do they have any candidates? I know you like the defensive line coach, who I can't pronounce his name.
Cottonwood.
Cottonwood, would he be a candidate for a defensive coordinator?
Cotton something, I don't know.
Yeah, if he gave up that title,
you never know. I mean, you got to try someone. He could turn out to be really good. Like they gave Todd Downing a shot, and he's doing okay. So one never knows.
Right.
But I would. I know you like Tony Oden up to a point. Obviously, he hasn't taught Sauce Gardner how to tackle yet.
Up to a point.
Yeah.
Ralph likes to rub salt in the wounds. Ray, what about you? Do you think having the title of his defensive coordinator and an interim head coach, is he hurting himself? If he has any potential, is it too much on the table for him?
I don't think he's hurting himself too much. I don't know that he's doing anything though that's gonna make anybody want him after this year. But I don't think he's done anything. I think most people understand he's doing both, and that's a lot to ask. And I don't think he clearly wasn't even prepared to be named head coach. It's not like he had time to think about it, adjust to it, do whatever, be prepared. I mean, he came in the morning and said, "Hey, you're the head coach now." So I think I think too, it's a little. I know there's a lot on his table being both, but all in all, he's basically the defensive coach, and he handles, practices and stuff. But I don't think he gets real involved with like the offense and stuff like that. I think he keeps things simple. Says, "I'll deal with the defense, you deal with the offense, and I'll run practices too." and
Right.
obviously personnel is his decisions. So it's not easy being both, but I think
Yeah.
he's doing okay for what he got handed.
Okay. Ray, old fashioned, he might start at right guard this week, and he was put in an emergency situation. Now, this is unconfirmed, but how do you feel about that?
Um, is it because of injury, or are they just saying you played well enough, we're making you the guard?
I'm not sure. And I thought he just held his own. He wasn't anything great, but I saw
Well,
his
for never having played it and
right.
getting
His
instruction on the field, I think he did really well.
right.
But
And Ralph's grade, a favorite stat, PFF grade was the lowest for their offensive line. But I still think he held his own. So
he wasn't
whatever it is,
horrible.
are you
Um,
comfortable with him at right guard?
I'm okay if it's because somebody's banged up, but if he's replacing somebody, I don't think I'm ready for that. But with a week of practice, you might see a big difference in his PFF numbers if they mean a lot to you. I'm kind of wary of all that stuff, all those stats, but I would prefer not.
Okay.
But
How about you, Ralph?
Well, I mean, Simpson and Elijah Vera Tucker were both I guess injured last week. So
that's why I'm saying, right?
I imagine it has to be because of injury, because they would start those guys. And the question is one or both out? And if only one is out, are they going to play him at guard over Max Mitchell, who was playing Simpson's position? As far as I'm concerned, for a guy who just got thrown in and never did it before, I would imagine that he's going to make a pretty good leap this week, as play a lot better. Having a week of practice.
Right.
So and I already hear people writing, "Oh, they shouldn't have drafted him. He's a bust." And it's like the guy has not played one down at the position he was meant to play yet. I don't know how you can even judge the guy. It's ridiculous.
Right. That's true.
Was one of those that Marty was one of the ones that wrote that?
No, no,
Marty, no, not Marty.
good try.
Marty's
Thanks,
usually
Ray.
pretty quick on it.
No, I have a
Oh
quick
wait,
but
he didn't make the bum list, so
These are the same guys. These are the same guys who last year were writing about Will McDonald being a bust, and it was like,
right.
wow.
And we're going to get to
Yeah.
Will McDonald. It's funny. Jets Rewind, we should have a special section, the Will McDonald section, because every week we spend a lot of time on him, which I think is good. I really do. And Ralph, we have a new administration coming in, and I want to ask you,
Really? I didn't hear about that.
did you think that our owner, one of our co-owners, Woody Johnson, is going to jump ship and become an ambassadorship? And what does that say about his dedication and devotion to the Jets?
Well, I can't say what it says because he hasn't done it yet. So, but the end of this season, if the Jets don't do well, is going to be a huge transition for this team, and I would be really surprised if Woody Johnson isn't around for that because he's going to have to hire a
But
new.
Ralph, where he's a phone call away from Peyton Manning. Why would he have to do that?
that was his brother though that took that
I know,
offense.
but I'm
Which I
sure it
think
had
is
his
what we fear
blessing.
is don't. I'd rather have him sell than give the reins back over to the brother and all that stuff again.
I'd love to have Steve Cohn come in. Yeah, I agree. How about you, Ray? Do you think that he might jump for another ambassadorship, or it depends how they do?
I think he'd be more than willing to. What I would like to see, though, if he does, is the league kind of say, then we'll sell the team. Then, if you can't be an actual owner, quit handing it off to guys who are inept. But I don't think they could make him sell, obviously. But I'd like to see the league start hinting at it for him, and maybe he'll go, okay,
Right.
move
I,
on.
I would bet that he's going to jump ship, and
I
I don't
wouldn't be
know if it's going to
surprised.
be England or Ireland, whatever it is. He'll probably go.
Well, maybe it'll be Canada, so he can be right around the corner when we need
Yeah,
him.
but while we're talking about the administration and everything, I have a quick trivia, and I have a couple of hints if you don't know. You might have heard it. The president-elect already named his White House chief of staff. It's a first female. Her name is Susan Wiles, Wiles. Now, her father was a famous football player in the NFL and a famous announcer. Before I give you one of the hints, do you have any guesses? who it is.
She's like in her
So I think
50s.
that's her married name, so that
Yeah.
Yeah,
last name
of
didn't.
course. Yeah.
I saw a picture of her today. She looks like she's around in her 50s or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I think
father
early
would be in
60s.
like this 80s. Is he still alive?
No.
Famous football
Is he
player. What position?
Well, that was going to be my first hint. Okay, you ready for the hint?
Yeah.
Here we go. He was a kicker.
Pat Summerall.
Correct. Correct.
I was thinking of him, yeah, because you said announcer too. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
Susan
kidding.
That's
That's
what I was trying to think of announcers. I knew I wouldn't.
wow. How about that?
Susan Wiles' full name is Susan Summerall Wiles, and I did a little reading. I just kind of glanced at it. I guess she got into politics by way of Jack Kemp. I guess
Oh,
her
okay.
father introduced him and
Nice.
everything there, and she worked her way up. So we wish her luck. Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
The,
really.
the Will McDonald,
It's a
the
tough
Will
job.
McDonald,
It's a tough job.
the Will McDonald corner. Here we are. Ray, did we underrate Will McDonald coming out of college, and can he be the next John Abraham?
Um, he's having a year that makes you say yes, but I don't know that that's uh, I don't know that that's true quite yet. I mean, he's showing all kinds of talent, but I think a lot of stuff is just it's one of those years where all this stuff is kind of breaking his way, and on some of these, I don't think he's been overly dominant, but when he's so fast that if the quarterback makes the wrong move, he's there to mop things up a lot of times with his speed. And he still, to me, he still shows he's pretty much doing one or two moves tops, and he's going to have to be able to expand his game and put on a little weight. But I think he's got the potential, but I don't think he's at that point yet.
He has the potential, so he can be another John Abraham. What
I
about
think
you,
he could be.
Ralph?
Well, first of all, I didn't underestimate him. When I watched film of him, I thought this guy is going to be a real stud.
Yeah.
And I still think he's got a lot more ceiling, higher ceiling. And I agree with Ray that some early in the season he got some couple of sacks that were gifts. And actually, we discussed it last week after the game that I thought last week's was his best game, and he didn't even get a sack. I think he only had one tackle. Was getting held like crazy, but he ran the quarterback into two other sacks with other people who cleaned up. So I think he's just getting better and better as the year goes on, and hopefully he'll get some calls because it's been driving me nuts for weeks now. Olberg's got to work those refs. He's got to do that job. That's part of being a head coach.
Yeah, I,
Um,
I agree with both of these. I think he's going to get better, and I think
he
uh,
does need to add weight. Ray's right. Needs to get a little stronger.
like
His frame looks the same as last year. I was a little disappointed, but
yeah, he will get better, and he's going to start getting those calls, just like a quarterback gets the calls, for roughing, and just like in basketball when the superstars get the calls, that's all controversial. So I think he's just going to get better and better. So
I think one thing about that, I don't think he's put on weight. He might be one of these guys that really has trouble putting on weight. He does
maybe.
look stronger to me this year. So
Yeah.
I do believe
right,
he worked on his strength a lot. So if
yeah,
they can just get 10, 15 more pounds on him, I think he'll be awesome.
right. And by the way, last night the Ravens beat the Bengals, which is good for the Jets, I'm told. So
Oh,
so
at this point, to
In the
start
playoff.
counting on that stuff is
I
unbelievable.
understand that,
It's like
but yeah.
the
All right.
the AFC is weak though this year. There's
Yes.
a lot of bad teams. So
Yes, and Jamar Chase had a super game from what I heard. His stats.
Oh, he did.
both quarterbacks threw 4 touchdowns. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they went for the Bengals went for the win. You can't blame them, but sad. I thought it was a terrible 2-point try, but
it constantly amazes me how difficult it is to make a 2-point conversion. Except if you're the Jets defense. It seems like teams do it so easily against the Jets. But
the, the New York Giants this year are 0 for 5 on 2-point conversions. They
unbelievable.
just they just can't do it either. Okay, here we go. This is my new topic buying.
Let me just throw one thing in,
Go
Marty.
ahead, Ralph.
Ray, do you think that it might be more advantageous if a team took the 2 point conversion, say on the 5 yard line, had a little more room to play? I don't know. It's just like, I mean, it takes away the run possibility, except for
Yeah,
the quarterback probably.
I
I don't
think
know.
I think that's a lot of the difference too. Is like Lamar Jackson seems to always get the 2 point play. These guys, the quarterbacks who can run, are so much on that play are so much more effective because
Yeah.
you got the running back, you got the quarterback you got to worry about, and then he can throw on the run. I mean, Lamar Jackson just seems to. I don't know what his numbers are on 2 point tries, but it's got to be pretty high
Speaking of running quarterbacks, we have one this week
coming
that we
up.
have to deal with.
We're going to get into him, but Ray Brady was very good in the 2 point conversions too.
Yeah, well, and with them, they always had, it always seemed like Gronk or somebody was, wide open in the end zone. So they they just had such a offense that was there were so many things you had to look out for that
Yeah,
he had everything anything he wanted to do was pretty much available to him on the.
and I saw Brady do a few times where he got the defense to go off sides,
Oh
so
yeah,
half the distance, and then he would sneak
and
it
he'd do
in.
that jump over the line and hold
Yeah,
the ball up for a
yeah.
split second and
Still waiting for Rodgers to do that once this
No,
year.
no, no. We'll get into him too.
His
He
famous
looked.
hard counts. Yeah.
He
yeah.
didn't look youthful, but he looked a lot better last week. And I was looking at some film
You know,
clips.
I can't even remember the game. It's been so long.
Didn't he have one of his best runs called back? Was
He
that?
did.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was on
That
the
was the
borderline
Fashanu.
hold
Yeah,
on Fashion
yeah.
News.
Well,
Oh
Roger, actually, now I remember. Roger had he had a terrible first half and a good second half. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Although Garrett Wilson bailed him out.
oh
Yeah, all game long. All right, here we go. The new topic: Marty's buying and selling. We'll start with Ralph. It came out that the Jets may activate Greg Zuerlein for the Cardinals game. Are you buying or selling that, Ralph?
No, I'm not buying that at all. They finally won a game last week. He wasn't in. The guy hit 3 out of 3 extra points. How long? How far is an extra point now? 30, 35 yards?
like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking at Greg Zuerlein's numbers. Anything beyond 30 yards this year, his numbers are terrible. So
So
as far as I'm
Didn't
concerned, if this guy unless this guy missed every field goal in practice, we don't know about that. But I don't want Zuerlein back. 1 week and he suddenly got his confidence back. I'm not buying that.
how about you, Ray?
Yeah, I don't really feel great about that. And didn't he miss an extra point in the last two
Yeah,
games?
he missed an
At
extra point.
least
Well,
two.
he had one blocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he hit the upright on one or
Oh,
something.
that
Well,
those
that's what
uprights.
I knew the Jets were going to win when this guy hit the upright in his first extra point, and so,
Exactly.
True.
so that shows you right there. You can't
At
really.
one more hit on that upright, it's going to collapse from metal
I think
fatigue. It's like,
at this point, look, we go through this all the time. We talk about kickers, we talk about relief pitchers, and Greg Zuerlein, he might light it up next year with another team. But as long as he's a Jet, if he goes anywhere near the field, I mean, that's malpractice. Absolutely not. I mean, he's on a downward spiral. He's toxic right now. You
yeah.
can't get him close to the field. All
This is
right.
his. This is his normal. This is his standard operation. He'll have a really good year like he did with Dallas, and I think he had
Right.
a good year with somebody else, and then I think it was the Rams, and then the next year he's like this.
I don't know why we can't get the kickers like the Raiders get, the Patriots get. It drives.
They just didn't have the courage to make the obvious move in the preseason, and that's Salah's fault. That's a big part of the blame that goes to Salah. Everyone says, "Oh, did they make a mistake firing Salah?" You know what? He cost himself the job by not cutting Zuerlein and keeping the other guy.
Ralph, did
We
he have?
had we had the kicker the Patriots had and other teams had, and then the Patriots picked him up, and now he's still kicking and still kicking well.
Yeah, yeah.
Ralph, do you think Salah actually had that power that he could convince Joe Douglas? You think he has?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I heard Salah interviewed, and he said after Oh, it was one of the preseason games when the
I
Jets
never
were
heard.
were down close, and
He's
they
showcasing them.
reporter, yeah, the reporter said, "Why didn't you go for it instead of kicking the field?" He says, "I wanted to give him some film to show other teams." So it didn't even matter what Zerline was going to do and what this guy was going to do. He never was going to even entertain keeping him, which is
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. He comes back to haunt us, Robert Salas. And this is part of the next question. Ray's going to start. Are you buying or selling this? Ralph touched upon it, but do you think the Jets defense has gotten worse since Robert Saleh got fired? Buying or selling it?
I'm selling that. I don't think they've been. I don't think they've been as good all year. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't know that it makes a difference in any way. I think we've been a very up and down defense the whole year. I don't care what our stats say or anything. They aren't especially against the run. I think our defense is, when they let all these guys go, like Jonathan Franklin Myers and Jefferson, these guys who all stuff the run, if nothing else. And we're seeing the result of that pretty much every game. I don't, I don't, I don't think Salah makes a difference in it.
How about you, Ralph?
No, not really. Like I said before, I kind of thought about it, and it seems like they've been had a couple of good games and mainly lousy games, with under each guy. So no, I'm afraid not for Robert Saleh's sake.
Okay. All right, Ralph, we'll start with you. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, they seem to maybe they found a groove and things are only going to get better with these two moving forward. Are you buying or selling that?
Yeah, I'm buying now. You know what's going to be interesting? Who is teams going to like double team between Wilson and Devontae Adams at this point? It should be interesting. Um,
Aaron Rodgers touched upon that. He says it's going to open up the middle.
uh-huh.
Maybe Tyler Conklin, if you have a fantasy team, pick up Tyler Conklin this week. How about you, Ray? You think moving forward, that's only going to get better with those two?
I do, and kind of when we picked up Adams, I said that Wilson will be the one that'll benefit the most from this. Now, if they start doubling Wilson, then you're going to see. And Aaron would love nothing better than to go ahead double Wilson. I'll get the ball to Devontae all day long, but I would love it if he did start bringing in Conklin and Ruckert or whoever as a tight end and getting them more involved. I think they can be a big part of this offense if they would incorporate them a little more. I like our tight ends, but Aaron's never been a big on throwing to tight ends a whole lot.
Right. Okay. Ray, we'll start with you. Carter Warren, who they got out of Pitt, he was projected as like a second or third round pick going into his last year. He hurt his knee at left tackle. The Jets tried him at, I guess, right tackle last year. He didn't do well at all. He was terrible in the preseason. I try to keep an eye on him. He's been inactive for a number of games. Is he a bust? Are you buying or selling that? Carter Warren, is he a bust?
Well, what was the draft pick we got him with?
He was a fourth rounder,
Fourth
so
round.
yeah, I don't even know if you can call a fourth rounder a bust.
Yeah, no, I don't think I think that was well worth the attempt. And I'm not, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in practice, but I wouldn't mind seeing them try some of these guys and finding out, whether you want to keep them or not. But um, I wouldn't say he's a bust.
Well,
I didn't have huge expectations of fourth rounder. We a lot of times do well with fourth rounders, but you
yeah.
can't hit on all of them.
Interestingly, and Ralph, I want your answer, but a player they picked up like I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, and as Ralph knows, he has a BU, Boston University tie-in. Alec Lindstrom, he was brought up to the 53-man roster. So I just find that interesting that
He's a guard, right?
he's a guard,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Well, they need guards right now.
Yeah,
They're hurting for guards.
yeah. Carter Warren is not. Ralph, are you buying or selling that he's a bust?
No, I don't consider any fourth rounder really a bust, but I think numbers wise, they just don't need tackles now. They have, Moses and Smith and Fashanu and Mitchell, who's can play guard. So they need some more guards actually on the to dress, not tackles at this point. So I don't know. I think it could be just a numbers game, and they might he might just be a left tackle. He might not be able to play right, which would mean he's probably of little value to the Jets because he's way down on the depth chart.
Okay. Staying with the offensive line, Ralph. Tyron Smith, do you think he turned a corner maybe and he's a little more comfortable there? Is he playing like the old self? You buying or
I,
selling that?
I think a lot of guys turn the corner on him still, but I think he's played a little bit better. But no, I don't think he's turned the corner. I don't trust him at all. I still, think speed guys beat him like a drum. And the answer, my short answer is no. I don't think he's turned the
Okay.
corner.
And how about you, Ray?
No, I'm not buying on that one. I'm not sure about a corner, and maybe he just had a bit of a curve in the road that he might have turned, but a corner, no. I mean, if I see him play really well against, like Rouse says, somebody who's been whipping him all year long, then I might have a little change of heart. But right now, I still feel like they need to put someone over there on
Right.
passing downs to help him.
Okay. I have a few over unders, but I just want to
Let
point
me just jump in, Marty. One thing
Yeah.
about pass protection. Another question: Where does Aaron Rodgers stand as far as getting sacked this year in the league? What number do you think he is? He's been sacked 20 times.
20 times.
Yeah, but so like as far as the list of top 32 quarterbacks, where do you think he lands?
18.
What do you say, Raymond?
10th?
13. So you guys, which is not that bad. And
No.
some of the ones ahead of him are guys who run a lot. CJ Stroud is number one. That thank the Jets for that, probably.
You're getting sacked. And
Yeah.
and it's funny.
No, actually, it's Watson, and I think CJ Stroud's second. Yeah,
Because I wrote down.
Stroud will take him.
well,
Yeah, I wrote down the couple of the quarterbacks that were sacked the least. In third is the Denver Broncos. They've given up 15 sacks. And in second place is the team we're playing, Arizona
yeah,
Cardinals.
exactly.
14
14
sacks.
sacks. Yeah.
Ray, do you have any? Obviously, Ralph looked at the same stats as me, so I'll ask Ray. Do you have any idea what team has given up the least amount of sacks in the NFL? Take a guess. You'll probably
Ravens?
Who?
The Ravens?
No, that's a great guess, though. I would have guessed that. It was the Buffalo Bills giving up 11 sacks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of guys with mobile quarterbacks who could get out of trouble.
Right.
He's obviously one.
Well, Marty, you say I always throw you under the bus, but I'm gonna throw you a little praise right now. Who was second in the league in sacks? Trey Hendrickson had 4 sacks, so he jumped this guy as number 1 in the league. This guy is second, just ahead of Will McDonald.
Ooh.
It's one of your favorite players in the league.
Cashman?
No,
I don't know.
Dexter Lawrence.
Dexter Lawrence. That guy's incredible.
That's amazing. He's doing that from the middle. Yeah.
He's an amazing player. He really is.
I was watching that Bengals game last weekend, and Hendrickson, when he had that really good game, and my first thought was, it came down to for the
Him
Jets.
and Carl Lawson, I know. I hear about that all the time on the Jet commenters.
That's incredible. All right, Ray, here we go. Couple of over-unders. Devontae Adams, 5.5 receptions versus the Arizona Cardinals. Over-under, 5.5.
I'll go with over just because Aaron loves throwing to him, so I could see him getting 6, maybe.
Okay, how about you, Ralph?
Yeah, I am too. I think it's gonna be a wide open game. Arizona's got a good offense. The weather will probably be great, so I'm looking for an offensive game.
All right, Ralph. Will McDonald, 1.5 sacks.
I'll probably go under with that because that guy's so quick.
Okay. How about you, Ray? 1.5 sacks.
Yeah, I'll go under. Plus, I think he's starting to get more attention, so I think teams are going to be keeping.
Although we'll see if Reddick helps out on that clause. That'll be interesting.
Yes, he did last week. He had a lot of pressures, Reddick. All right, Ray.
I didn't see that many.
Another Will McDonald. Holding penalties called on him. It's the over-under is a half. It's either 1 or none.
Yeah, I'm going to take the high road and go. I'm going to say over. I think he'll get one.
Oh, I definitely think he'll get one this week.
Yeah, I do too. I think I got the over too. The Cardinals have an interesting running back. Ray, I don't know if you know a lot about him. James Cooper.
Connor.
Connor.
Connor, I'm sorry, James
He was
Connor.
on the Steelers. Yes.
Yeah, he came
Yeah,
from Pitt.
Pitt. Yeah,
He was a
Yeah.
third round draft pick.
big
He's
guy. Big guy.
Yeah.
two-time Pro Bowl, 6'1", 235. And I guess after he was drafted by the Steelers in the third round, the Cardinals signed him. And give the guy credit, he went through some form of cancer for a few years, which he overcame that. So he's a cancer
I
survivor.
think he had some other injuries too. I think that's
Yes,
why he got released. Or
He could be a handful for the Jets. They're not good
yeah,
at guys who are physical,
right,
except for Sauce. Sauce will take care
right.
of him.
Okay. So, last week I was going crazy when I guess it was Mixon. It looks like he was running at will
oh,
through the middle of our line. Ray, over under for James Conner, 90 and a half rushing yards.
90 and a half.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm going to say over because they got, I think between worrying about uh, Kyler Murray running around, and I think he's a big, strong back. And unless they're in tackle mode this week, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to push the pile. He's going to get extra yards even after they've got him wrapped up. He's going to, so he's going to be a handful. And he has been lately, he's been really good. So hopefully they're keying on him. But until I see it, I'm going to say over.
Ray, before we get Ralph's answer, I'm glad you brought that up, Ray. You watch a lot more NFL games than me. I cannot believe how bad of tackling the Jets are. And I used to blame it on that they're going for the strip, but
They still do.
it's not even that. They look awful. Are they, I mean, are other teams, do they do the same thing? Other teams, the NFL, or the Jets just sticking out, or what? What's going on with this
I
team?
think there are other teams that aren't great tacklers. I think a lot of it's fundamentals. I think you watch these guys, first of all, there's too much of these little guys like Sauce who try and knock guys over without wrapping them up.
DJ Reed does that too
Yeah.
sometimes. You remember Jordan Whitehead last year? He was
Oh,
horrific. He
he
was just
drove me
awful.
nuts when he would do it because it would always result in somebody running
Uh,
50 yards for a touchdown when they'd bounce off him and keep going. But I think it's that. I think it's sometimes they tackle. It seems to me, and I'm just looking at the replays, thinking, why are they all up trying to tackle these guys up high? I get, especially guys like Connor. You know, so you got two guys and they're both up around his shoulder pads, and he's just pushing them, 2, 3, 4 more yards. I've seen so many plays this year with our running defense where they've had a guy, basically tackled after a short gain, and he'll just push him for another 4 or 5 yards and make it into a short second down or third down, and it drives me nuts. I think a lot of it's fundamentals of tackling.
Right, right. All right, Ralph, what about you? 90 and a half yards, James Conner.
I'm going to go against my against logic and say no. I'm thinking maybe the Jets will play with a lead and they'll throw the ball around.
Yeah.
I just have this feeling this is going to be an aerial show this weekend. I don't know why, but
Okay. And this is, I know Ray loves when we play running quarterbacks. He's,
Love it.
Ralph, he salivates when he sees like a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray on our schedule.
frankly, we make every running quarterback look like a running quarterback.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he knows that
Well,
Josh Allen,
Drake
Josh
May, for
Allen
God's
is on our
sakes.
schedule 2 times a year.
Yeah.
He can't wait for those
Well,
games.
now we got Drake May to deal with twice, and he
Drake
was
May.
absolutely killed us. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
we-
Ralph, Kyler Murray over under for rushing yards, 49 and a half yards.
So that's 50 yards. I'm going to go under with that. That's a lot of yards for a raw quarterback.
Okay. Ray?
Don't do sacks go against their rushing yards? If they
Oh,
get sacked?
that's a good question.
I don't think
I
that's so
thought it
that
did,
stuff
but I
is so
could be wrong.
confusing.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to say under 2, only because especially if sacks do, I think they can get to them
Under.
once or
Okay.
twice maybe. But I'm going to go under, try and feel positive about something there.
Ray, you think we should spy Kyler Murray? Is it worth it? Dedicated one guy to that? And who would you spy him?
Yeah, it could be a waste of a guy though. He's so elusive that if you take a guy out of coverage doing
Yeah.
that, you might be.
Yeah, you'd have to use a defensive back. A linebacker could never deal with him
No,
on
God,
the
no.
open field.
He'd walk by them.
I'm Sherwood. My God, he can't even catch up to a big tight end.
I mean, I got every darn week. I keep yelling, contain, contain, contain. We cannot contain these
Yeah,
quarterbacks.
you talk about tackling, you talk about containment. A lot of this is coaching. It's scheming, and it's just getting on these guys and being accountable. This is not a good coaching staff. It's not a
Right,
well-coached team. It's just not a well-coached team.
right. No, I think you're right. The one thing I think everyone knows this, when you have a running quarterback, when he's behind the line and he changed directions, a lot of times the offensive lineman will instinctively, not on purpose, hold him so they can't reverse their field, the defensive lineman, and the defense gets a holding call on the offensive line. So
Well, that's one of the things that McDonald's been, getting held on. It's exactly that when the quarterback goes the other way
right,
and he's
that's
getting
right.
grabbed from behind.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we close out this exciting session of Jets Rewind?
Well, I guess we can give our predictions. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Okay. We'll start with Ralph because we're going to hit a
uh,
31-17.
and yeah, you know what? Like we said earlier in the year, I think this is a pivotal game. If the Jets can go out and beat a pretty good team on the road, I think their confidence will be up, and I think they might win 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5. If they lose this game, the season's over, and I'm going to say they're going to lose the game because my predictions are so bad that maybe they'll win the game and make me look bad. So I'm going to say 23-17.
Okay. All right. Ray, what about you?
Um, I don't have a lot of great feelings about it, but I'm going to hope that our offense has found their groove, and I think we're going to outscore them. But I think it's going to be an air show, and I think that not that there won't be much running, but I think we're going to see a lot of passing out of both teams, and I'm going to say we're going to win this one, but it's going to be like 31-28.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds good.
I have 27-14 Jets.
Ooh,
I going to
hope.
predict that Brees Hall is going to break one for over 50 yards. He may not get a touchdown as long as he holds on to the freaking ball. Because I don't like what I've seen the last couple of weeks from him, but I have a feeling he's going to hold on and he's going to not trip over himself. So anything,
Rushing and passing yards, or pass receiving yards put together, Brees Hall is fifth in the league in all-purpose yards. So
Nice, yeah,
right?
having a good year again. So I like that's a
I just
positive.
want to see him pop a long one and
That
get into
exactly.
the end
Yeah,
zone and hold
Yeah,
on to the ball until
yeah.
I
And
got one quick
go
question for
ahead,
both of
Ray.
you guys, since you like your over unders. Sauce, if he's covering Harrison pretty much all day, Sauce over under 2 holding penalties.
Uh,
1.5. You mean like give us a half? Give
Give
us
us
a
a
half.
half,
Yeah,
2.5.
2.5.
Ooh, two and
Um,
a half.
I'm going to say, geez, that's hard because I was going to say he's going to get like two in a row.
Yeah,
But I'm going to say over. He's going to get three.
I'll go with 2.
How about you, Ray? What do you say?
yeah, I'll say around 2. I hope,
Right.
because I don't think they'll give Harrison quite the attention that they give Justin Jefferson. But I mean, sometimes Sauce is so obvious about it, and they're looking at him now. So I'll be surprised unless they do put Reed on him a lot. I can't see him getting away with any less than 2.
Okay, Ray, how would you compare Marvin Harrison to Garrett Wilson? I know there are different types of receivers, different sizes. Do
Uh,
that. Well, I'm going to get Marvin Harrison's stats on my screen.
they're
Go ahead.
both they're both. Marvin has really good hands, but he's bigger, more physical, and he can go up and get a ball. I think that's the main thing, though, is the physicality in him. I think if you can project ahead 10, 12 years, I think you're going to see that Garrett's frame, I'm not sure his body can sustain what he does for a long. I think he's going to have a short but brilliant career, and Marvin's is going to be a little longer and more more steady, I think. But
You know, the funny thing about Garrett Wilson is he doesn't really get injured, and he just might be one of these guys who
I'm hoping.
has a good body and can handle this stuff.
Yeah. I just always worry that he's going to get that one hit, kind of like Olave did, and it'll just spiral
Right,
from there. That's
right.
what I fear.
And I'm glad you brought that up because Ralph, I spoke to Ray because he brought out Chris Olave's name last week after Garrett Wilson had the great game, and
I
it came
jinxed him.
out that he got another concussion. Ray was talking about that, but Michael Thomas came out and he said that the quarterback, what's his name, Carr.
Yeah,
He
Derek Carr.
said he blamed it on Carr the way he throws it. And at first I'd say, what a loudmouth diva receiver. He's not even in the league. But when you
Well,
look at
who blamed it on Carr?
Michael
Olave or Michael
Thomas,
Thomas? Michael
Michael
Thomas
Thomas.
blamed it on
Yeah.
Carr
Yeah.
about Olave.
Olave getting hurt.
Well,
Yeah.
you talking about the
But
Michael
yeah.
Thomas on Tampa Bay?
No, well, he was on New Orleans still last year. I don't know if he's on Tampa Bay
Oh,
now.
this
Oh,
is
he's playing
another.
now? He's playing now?
Oh, that guy.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, he
So,
had a few good years and he's
He was
blaming
no,
it.
he had some very
well,
good years.
Marty, you calling yourself a loudmouth? You blame Ken O'Brien your whole life,
Well, I
or
did that and I've heard that, Tom Brady, I don't know if he said it in response or whatever, but I've heard him say it before that it's a responsibility of the quarterback
Sure
not
is.
only to throw a catchable ball, but a ball where he won't get
Killed.
really hurt or killed. So I actually saw the pass that he got hurt on. I happen to agree with him too. It was like wide open. And I see that sometimes these quarterbacks, and I see it with Aaron Rodgers, a lot of times he'll throw the ball low on purpose where either the receiver is the only one that can catch it, and if he catches it, he's not really in 100% harm's way. He did that twice at the goal line, if you remember, once to Garrett Wilson this year, and once to I forgot who it was a few
he's
weeks
done it
ago.
a lot. And maybe some of the throws that are slightly behind are for that reason too. I'm hoping that because they do that quarterbacks at times to save these guys. They don't want to extend like that. Who was it we played a couple of weeks ago? I think it was a Patriot receiver who absolutely got alligator arms over the middle a couple of times.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. But anyway, just go back to Marvin Harrison Jr. He has 28 receptions, 445 yards, 15.9 per reception, five TDs. His longest catch was against the Rams for 60 yards. I think it was a touchdown. He's had two games over 100 yards. And I could just see looking at his stats, like the last five games were better than the first five games. So
Wasn't Murray out early in the year?
he might
no,
have been.
I when I looked at the numbers, there was no other quarterback who was taking any
Okay.
snaps for them. Yeah.
All right. I thought
Oh,
he missed a couple games early.
yeah. So he's everything we thought he was, and the Jets have their hands filled, especially if Sauce Gardner, he's the one that's matched up against them. But anyway, anything else before we close this out, guys?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing.
For Ralph Schrager and for Ray Clifford and Marty Schupak, until next time, let's go Jets.